Hello, welcome to the video notes for lesson 14-1. This is the Introduction to Scatter Plots. This begins on page 1 in your notes packet. Let's go ahead and get started. So the learning target, I can determine the association of a set of data in a scatter plot. So there's positive linear, negative linear, or nonlinear, or no association whatsoever. Willie works at Reed's Ice Cream Parlor. By the way, this is our first example. Willie keeps track of how much ice cream they sell versus the noon temperature on that day. Willie's data for the last 12 days is listed in the chart. Willie studied the data and came up with the following conclusions. Do you agree or disagree? Now, first thing I'd like to point out is this table is using temperatures that are in Celsius. So it's kind of hard to understand exactly the temperature because we're so used to regular temperatures. But we can get some idea of what's hot and what's cold. And these are temperatures outside. Alright, so the first question is, the higher the temperature, the more ice cream is sold. So when I look at the table, when I look at the lower temperatures, the ice cream sales tend to be lower numbers. 11.9 I think is the lowest number, and that's $185. Looks like 25.1 is the highest number, and that has one of the highest numbers of sales. So I would agree. So this is easy to agree with, and we can tell just by looking at the data in the table that that's true. If the temperature is 21 degrees Celsius, then Reed's can expect to sell about $450 worth of ice cream. Well, when I look at the table, there is no values that are 21 degrees Celsius. There's a 22.1, and that's $522. There's a 19.4, that's $412. So maybe, but we can't tell for sure just by looking at the table. Same with number 3. If the temperature climbs to 30 degrees Celsius, then Reed's can expect to sell over $700 worth of ice cream. Well, the highest number in this table is 25.1, and that's $614. So I would guess maybe that's true, but I don't know for sure because, again, the table doesn't give me enough information. And then the last one, if the temperature is less than 10 degrees Celsius, then it isn't worth Reed's to open shop. When I look at the smallest value, which is 11.9 degrees, it's $185. So I don't know if I can answer this question from the table. I can make a guess, but it's not very accurate. So if we go over to page 2, we have some more information. Scatter plots. A scatter plot is a graph that uses points to display the relationship between two different sets of data, usually experimental data. And you've probably seen this before. We have the independent on the x-axis and the dependent on the y-axis. So, to make a scatter plot, plot the two groups of data as ordered pairs. Points. Most scatter plots are in the first quadrant of a coordinate plane because the data is usually positive numbers. If the data creates a pattern, then we say that the data has a statistical relationship or correlation. So that's a statistical relationship. So when I look at the first example, it looks like the data is flowing this way. So as one goes up, the other goes up. So that's a positive correlation. When it looks like it's going down, in other words, as the X independent is going up, the dependent is going down. That's a negative correlation. And then this one, there really doesn't look like any pattern at all. The dots are all over. So that's called no correlation. So below is a scatter plot of Willie's data. That's from the other page. Compare your answers from the front page with the data in the graph. So we're going to go back to those questions in just a second. So Reed's ice cream sales. So first thing I'm going to do, I look at it, and it looks like from the data that there is a pattern. And what I can do is draw something known as a best fit line, which looks like it's going to start about here and go through here. And I put an arrow because it looks like it can keep on going. So, let's put something important at the bottom here. Scatter plot organizes the data scatter plots organizes the data and provides an easy visual to answer the questions. And that's really the main goal here, is to be able to answer the questions. We could kind of tell from looking at the table, but we didn't know for sure. So let's go back to our questions. So if the temperature is 21 degrees Celsius, then Reed's can expect to sell about $450 worth of ice cream. So if I look at this graph, 21 is here in between. And by the way, this is a positive correlation. And then when I go over from where this meets the line, it looks like it's at least $450, maybe a little bit more. So if I go back to that question, I would say I agree. If the temperature climbs to 30 degrees Celsius, then Reed's can expect to sell over $700 worth of ice cream. All right. Well, if this were to continue, it looks like at 28 degrees Celsius, it's going to hit that 700. So I would have to agree with that statement as well. And then the last one, if the temperature is less than 10 degrees Celsius, then it isn't worth Reed's to open shop. Again, looking at the graph, less than 10 means they're going to be getting less than $100. I would probably have to agree. I don't know for sure. Some of you might say, hey, $100 or even a little bit less is still not that bad, but remember, they have to pay their employees, they have to turn on the power and all that. All right, so now you have a sense of how to answer questions and what positive and negative correlation is. I want you to go ahead and take a look at page 3 and 4 and try to answer the questions on your own. All right, if you have any questions about this video, go back and rewatch it. Good luck, and we'll see you in math.